All right, ladies, how are we doing today?
Hello.
So I
Hey,
have a great topic today. And it stems from, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the podcast. It is what it is. But there was a situation with Adrian Broner, who is a boxer, and he came on the show. And Cameron and Mace co-hosts, I think they call her Stat. I don't know her real name, but they call her Stat. But they had Adrian on as a guest. And he kept interrupting the show to say how beautiful she was, and saying that he was mesmerized, and just all into her. And at first, they all was like kind of laughing it off, and then Cameron kicked him off of the show. And I watched something after that, and it was getting like viewers comments, and they were saying how Stat was liking it, and she was flipping her hair and everything like that. And I didn't think that that was a fair assessment. So I wanted to do this topic, and I named it From Compliments to Creepy. So I wanted to ask you, ladies, have you guys ever experienced a man express an interest to you that made you feel uncomfortable? Like, what was the situation and how did you handle it?
From compliments to creepy.
Yes.
That's interesting.
indubitably.
Well, I can't think of a specific situation, but I can definitely say that from my experience, when you have a male compliment you, it's nothing wrong with that. But if they continue to do it or continue to say things like flirty, it makes me uncomfortable. Some guys just don't know how to give a compliment and keep it moving. I've been in situations like that plenty of times as a female, I would say.
Yeah.
I it's been a long time, and I'm very statuesque, so it's not often that guys are just like, "Hey, let me." Um, but there have been some brave ones, like a couple of weeks ago, and he was what's the word that I want to use? A vintage, confident man, uh, older, right? And the first time it was like nice, and then he began to give my husband compliments about me, and it was just weird. I'm like, this is just awkward for everybody involved. So I just laughed it off. So yeah.
And so that was one of the things that I felt like was an unfair assessment, because I've been in that situation before too. And I think that sometimes women will just try to laugh it off and, kind of hope to that it'll stop. And so it's like, how do you really, you know, assert yourself to let a guy know that you're not interested in his advances, or that his compliments is starting to make you feel uncomfortable? And so, I feel like it's really a fine line. And I think that some women might immediately shut it down, but not everybody responds the same way. And I can say that for myself, I've been in situations where, like, I don't like to be rude. I don't like to, come off snobby or anything like that. So there's been times where I might have been outside and walking past a group of guys. Somebody will give me a compliment. I'll say thank you and keep it moving. And then they proceed to do more. Now they want you to stop and talk to them, or they start walking and following you and keep talking. And it has gotten to the point where, from there, when I'm letting them know, like, no, thank you, like, I appreciate the compliment, then it got to be disrespectful, where now I'm be this, be that. I think I'm all that, and it's unnecessary. And so I think that from having those kind of experiences, it makes me uncomfortable sometimes when a guy is approaching, and not all the time is everybody trying to shoot their shot or whatever, but it's like sometimes I'm not really sure how to handle it, because I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what's going on in his head. I don't know how he will respond. So I try to be polite. I'll if they say, "Oh, you're beautiful," or whatever, and I'll like be like, "Thank you," or I'll smile and be like, "Thank you," and then it always goes further. And so,
And that's the thing I think that a lot of women probably feel when it comes to asserting yourself, because being assertive may come off as rude. We have a lot of men who have insecurities. It was this lady that posted a video on social media. She was riding a motorcycle, and she had on her whole piece motorcycle get up, and she stopped at a gas station, and it was a guy that was trying to holler at her, and he was saying she's beautiful, and she was just like, thank you. And then he was like trying to get her number, and she was just like, no, thank you. And he threw water on her. So it's just like, when you deal with situations where you have men who go from giving a compliment to automatically wanting to be disrespectful or wanting to do something to harm you, it creates a fear of doing anything aside from just smiling and laughing and taking a compliment without really setting those boundaries, unfortunately. And I would say, like, growing up in New York, it was the same situation. Like, walking down the street, you have a whole group of guys trying to holler at you, and if you shut it down, then you have some guys throwing bottles at you, and it's just like unnecessary. So with those type of experiences, you grow up to not even know how to assert yourself the way you would want to when it comes to men.
Do you think that the way guys approach back then versus now is different?
Well, I don't walk anywhere. So it's hard to say.
Right.
I don't make eye contact. I don't have to walk past a group of guys living in New York City. You're gonna be like, you're not gonna be driving as much. You're gonna be walking to public transportation, whether it's getting on a train or taking a bus. And when you're walking to these places, you're gonna pass groups of men. But now I don't. I leave my house. I get in my car. I drive where I'm going to the store directly in front of the entrance. I leave. So I don't have the same type of interaction with groups of guys. So I don't even know if you would say that it's different or the same. Again, where we live is not the same as from where we grew up. So it's a different experience. It's more for family oriented over here. If you go to Walmart, you ain't running into guys just hollering at you, walking down the aisle. Again, it's a difference. I would probably say it may be the same if we were still going out to bars and a club scene, but I'm not in those environments, so I wouldn't even be able to compare how it was back then versus now. But I know that from experience, again, when it happens, I'm still the same. Like, I'm more mindful of how I respond just because I know in the past how guys have responded, and I just try to avoid that. So
Yeah, I agree. I think I no, I know that I'm also like unsure, but for some reason I feel like it's probably the same, but the mental health of the men and yeah is different now. And so I think that that is really huge because I think like potentially being embarrassed and called a name is far different than you worrying about if your physical is safe, like if you're going to be physically harmed.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
So you think their mental health is worse or better?
worse.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Like
I
I
also
can,
think
sticks and stones, break
right.
but words will never hurt, right? But now like it's very different. Like I I feel like I shared this with one of you before. When I was a teen, I had by like in the daytime I'd go on a bus ride with my cousin and some of her friends and their children. And one of the young ladies that we kind of connected with and was like a part of our group going around the park, because we went to a like I think we went to Sesame Place. She, was really cool. We enjoyed spending time with her. And then we got home, we all went our separate ways and she went out to a club that night and someone tried to talk to her. And she was like, no, thank you. And he unalived her.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is always a big worry because you don't know where where their headspace is at.
Right. And I
So
also think that along with the mental health, I think that substance abuse also plays a part in
Mhm.
it. Like whether that be alcohol,
mhm, mhm.
weed, any other drugs, I think that that all plays a part in it. And so I think that seeing a woman maybe laugh it off does not mean that she likes that attention.
Mhm.
And so it's like, how do you address something like that with things being so uncertain? Like, you don't know how to respond to that. And how would someone else being with you, like let's say you were with guy friends, do you think they would know that you felt uncomfortable by a man's advances if you guys were out with them together, like whether it's a group setting or whatever?
We have plenty of guy cousins, and if we were out and about and someone was trying to holler, I'm gonna go to my cousin like, this dude ain't leaving me alone. Like, I would feel more comfortable telling them that this person is making me uncomfortable than telling that person. Because again, like, and I think that's the only way they would pick it up is by me saying like, yo, this dude keep following me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would definitely approach the person. But if I felt uncomfortable and I chose to like laugh and like not pay no mind, they'd probably be like, she good, she know how to handle herself. If she wasn't good, we would know. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the big thing. Like, do you feel comfortable letting someone that you're with know that you're uncomfortable if you're with another guy? Or do you still like just laugh and play it off and hope that they'll pick it up, which I don't think that they would recognize it, because a lot of times, like, older guys in our family know that we can handle our own for the most part. So if we're good and we're not saying anything, they be maybe like, ah, she good.
Oh,
So
yeah.
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 But I definitely feel like I would be more comfortable letting the people know when if I'm with our cousins, like a group of guys, that like, I don't like this person keeps talking to me or annoying me, or if you're walking away and then they following you, and like I would say something to my cousins, not to the guy.
Yeah. And that's usually, I think that being out at night, like a night spot, I think that that's usually how friends would handle, like if someone is following you in the spot, or they just keep trying to talk to you, then I would tell whoever I'm with, come with me to the bathroom. So we'll leave to go to the bathroom, and then when we come back out, we'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
That this person just goes away. But there's been times where they found found me in there, and came around, and so that can be very uncomfortable. There was another situation where I was out with a friend too, and we were with a group of guys. It was like my guy cousin and some of his friends, and we were all out, and me and the friend were at the bar, and the guy was like all on her. Um, and she was getting frustrated and annoyed. And the friends that were with my cousin, they were standing right there, and they was like, "He bothering you?" And so she was like, "Yeah, he won't leave me alone." And they made him leave. And so
Yeah.
I think that with guys, they don't really pick it up unless you say something, or if you like look annoyed.
I think that's interesting. I feel like in my experience, the guys that I've been with, and so like take into consideration that oftentimes they're a lot older than me, so their observations are different. They
Mhm.
respond when they begin to feel uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Mhm. And
Um,
what does it take for them to feel uncomfortable? Like, do you think their uncomfortability comes before yours?
yeah, because I'm really so again, I think so for me, I feel like the interactions in most scenarios are maybe not sincere, but maybe a play at like power, right? Because by nature people feel like men are more they're more physically like powerful. And so sometimes they assert themselves in that way. Um and because I am, so let's be very clear, like and I am in no way, shape, or form petite or small. Like I'm an Amazon, right?
You
That's
and
what
I.
my husband calls me, right? And so I'm just not a person that people just walk up on. If I'm out with my husband and someone like he's standing off to the side and you're not exactly sure whether I'm linked to someone or not, anybody talking to me that's not a family member is a problem. And so while he may not say anything, he is also not a small guy. He'll walk over and just stand, and then that kind of is like the cue.
Yeah.
Um, I don't feel like people should be on guard based on what they wear or their size or anything in particular like that, because we all should display self-control, and you
Mhm.
should
Mhm.
adhere to social cues. You can tell
Mhm.
by somebody's body language whether they're comfortable or not, and so the fact that you decided to ignore that is a problem.
Right. And that's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know if they don't know how to read the room, but you can tell if a female is interested in you. And if she's not really giving you the time of day, like she might have, smiled and said thank you to the compliment. But if she goes back to what she's doing and she's trying to like not show you any interest, then you should know right there she's not interested.
Yeah, I don't think they take on the cues. If you smile and you give them uh, a wee bit of attention, they gonna run with it. They gonna run with it.
Yeah, but
Like,
that's not fair. Even if you stone face, sometimes they'll still keep on.
And so that is where I feel like mental illness comes in. Like there, it doesn't have to be anything significant, but something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like this is very stranger danger. Like you, it's apparent that I am not interested. My body language is like inward, not outward. Like I'm not comfortable. But you are continuing, like you're adamant about continuing to attempt to talk to me. Something is wrong. Like there is no the amount of beauty or whatever that should make you feel like you should continue to make me uncomfortable.
Hmm. Hmm.
You should be uncomfortable at how uncomfortable I am.
Hmm.
yeah.
And that was another point that you made about the way females dress. Um, yes, some people can dress and have a lot of skin showing and everything, but again, like you said, self-control. If I don't want your attention and I'm showing you that I don't want your attention, then you should leave me alone. Like, it doesn't matter what I have on.
Hmm.
It's unwanted attention. I'm not interested. And
Yeah,
so,
I think.
but I hear that all the time. I hear a lot of guys say, "Oh,
Mhm.
well, she was wearing it, so she wanted that. She wanted that attention." Like, it's not always for attention. Some people wear things because they like them. They like how it looks on them. That doesn't mean that she's going out and want all these creepers to be all in her face and trying to touch and doing things that are inappropriate. Like, don't touch me.
Yeah. a lot of this just boils down to the world that we live in, where women have to take ownership for how men behave, and
Yeah.
it's just a thing. If a guy is talking to you and then it goes left field, you shouldn't have been flirting. Like you said, the girl wasn't even doing anything, but people were blaming her for how she responded to him when she was
Hmm.
just being nice. I don't think that it matters what we do or how we handle the situation. Someone's going to always look and see what we did wrong and not address the issues with guys having self-control, guys being respectful, guys taking a cue when a person is not interested in you, and guys not being so easily angered when a person is being assertive to say thank you for the compliment, but I'm not interested in
Right. Rejection. You don't like
you.
rejection. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not everybody. Some people can just take rejection and keep it moving, but there's a lot of people out there that just they can't take it because as soon as they get rejected, then you like every name in the book,
Yeah.
and it's just ridiculous. So,
It was interesting what you said, Lauren, about the older guys. And as I think about it, like when you think about like my father, for instance, even though I know fathers are different, my dad don't like any guys talking to us. When me and Dika and my dad was on our own business venture, we would go to different meetings, and like it was filled with mostly men. And they could just be having a regular conversation with us, and my dad did not like it. Like he, every time we would leave the meeting, he had something to say about how the guys was looking at us or talking to us, and it's just like we're just having a conversation. But I think older guys are different. Like even when you think about our uncles, like they don't be wanting, like if you're not family and you're a guy trying to talk to any of the nieces or daughters, like they're not feeling it. They're gonna have you keep it moving. Like we have very overprotective older men, which is a good thing. But as you get to the younger guys, it's just like a different situation. Our male cousins are very protective, but again, we would have to kind of give them the heads up, like, hey, I'm uncomfortable for them to step in. And when we do that, they quick to step in without a problem. But then if you think about strangers in a community, like if you were to be assertive and then it got aggressive, the way society is now, like nobody would even step in half of the time. So then you got to think about that. Like if I do say something to tick this person off and this person becomes more aggressive, who's going to help me? And
mhm.
if you're by yourself and you're not with anybody that you know, 9 times out of 10 you're on your own. People will take out their phone and record it, but they ain't gonna actually step in, and that's
Right.
like another thing that women have to worry about when it comes to how we react to guys showing interest or giving compliments and making us feel uncomfortable. Again, we have to take that ownership on how to kind of keep things de-escalated.
Mhm. And the sad thing is though that it again, I believe is because of the world we live in. Like I've heard news things that happened where a guy tried to intervene, was another guy hitting a girl, and then he got shot and killed. And
Mhm.
so, you know, it's like sometimes people on the outside looking in, I think they want to help if you're in a situation where it might be getting out of control, but they have to also think about their safety. So it's like a double-edged sword. Like how how do you react to something that you see that you know is wrong? You don't know who this person is either, and you don't know what they might do to you. And so I think that in those kind of situations, you might have a few guys that might step in and intervene, but I think you're more likely to see a woman intervene than a guy.
Yeah, I think guys intervene if it's someone they know. Like if it's
Yeah.
their friend that's getting out of line, they might intervene then. But if it's
Hmm.
just again just a random dude and he's not with any of his friends and you're by yourself, then yeah, ain't nobody really gonna intervene. I don't know, even if a woman to intervene if they don't know you.
Right, right. Let's say you were in a situation by yourself, and maybe there's other people around, and maybe you don't know these other people, and someone is making you uncomfortable. How would you handle that situation?
So it was this show that I watched, and this is what I would do based off of what I learned on the show. It's called Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And when he was teaching Ashley, back up, mind your business, just mind your business. Oh man.
It's
No,
true
now I gotta
though.
take out do some taekwondo.
Yeah.
Shoot.
What
No,
about you,
no.
Lorraine? How do you think you would handle that situation?
I might excuse myself. Just give me a minute. I'll be right back. And don't
Hmm.
come back. Like in a moment, I could come up with something really clever. I
Mhm.
might have to excuse myself or go to the restroom. It really does make me sad though that these are the kinds of things that we have to consider.
Right.
It's really unfortunate that people aren't, you know, in positions to really be accountable for their own behavior.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I think I'm so conditioned that as a female that when I'm out, I don't even make eye contact with anybody because that's the first thing that makes a person or a guy feel like they have the door to giving you a
So you
compliment.
can't even
I'm
look.
just,
Don't even
yep,
look.
I'm
Like
not
I
even
don't. I
looking.
can't
I'm not
see.
looking in your direction. I'm gonna just walk where I'm walking and keep it moving, because as soon as you give eye contact, again, that just opens the door to people thinking that you're wanting to conversate. Even if you walk and sometimes don't look around and you got a serious face, they always come up with a line, "Why are you so serious? Put a smile on
Yeah.
your face." Like, just leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I think that I do the same thing. I don't make eye contact. If I'm going somewhere, I go where I'm going. I think that seeing a large group of guys, I don't even like to walk past. I'll try to figure out a way to get past them without actually going directly past them.
Oh,
And
as a
again,
female, you can see a large group of guys from a mile
oh,
away.
yeah,
So
you sure
before
can.
we
I'll
even
cross the
hit
street.
that group,
Yep.
we crossing the street or we
Yeah.
doing whatever we got to do before we
Yeah.
even just walking past that group of guys.
Yep. It's like, oh, there's a whole bunch of them right there in the corner or wherever I'm crossing. Let's go. So yeah, but I don't make eye contact with people either, because if I'm out, I'm usually trying to get what I got to get and get on my way. So
And that's crazy, because again, I know we've had conversations about things that we experience, like being Black in America, but now when you think about being a woman, like in America, like all of the things we have to do to just be, like, be.
yeah.
Oh man, sometimes it's just difficult, again, being out and about as a female. And then you could be married, you could have your wedding ring on, like that doesn't even, like, unfortunately, men don't care. If
Yeah.
they
I
want to
mean, some
holler at
women
you,
don't either. Some women don't either. The next question after that is, you can't have friends. But is this something that you guys have experienced only in public, or nightclubs, or just out in general, or have you ever experienced that in a professional setting?
oh yeah, definitely in a professional setting. And I would even say the professional setting I experienced it in isn't even coworkers, it's clients. Because I'm young, I work with adults. I work with adults that have mental illness, and a lot of the guys I work with are younger. So of course they're gonna
See, I
be like,
told you it's
you
Yeah.
mental
got.
stuff.
So when you're doing your job, you're nice and everything like that. Like sometimes it's just like they want to try to holler. It was one situation when I was working with a client, and I had to let my supervisor know because he sent me a text asking if I would go on a date with him. And it's just like, okay, yeah. Didn't respond to the text, went right to my supervisor and told her the situation. And then she had to have a conversation with him, like, I'm gonna have to move you to another to work with someone else, just because again, like, that's not appropriate. That's not what her job is. That's not like what she's here for. And he was able to acknowledge and apologize for that. And I winded up still continuing to work with him. But it's just one of those things, like anytime I'm working and I get a new person on my caseload and they're younger, it's just like, man, I'm gonna have to navigate how to just deal with, again, you're just being nice, doing your job, and sometimes they're just like, oh, you look young, you're single, and like just making comments that are just like, all right, let's kind of remember, I am working to help you, and like those comments are not appropriate. So it's easy to say that in a work setting, those comments are not appropriate versus
Yeah.
it's just a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, being a female working with guys is gonna always be like, they see you as a prospect before they see you as anything else.
What about you, Lorraine? Have you experienced that at work?
Um, some time ago, this particular guy was just a jerk though, like, cause he was actually the boyfriend of a friend at the place that I worked, and he was just ridiculous, always with everyone. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I've never experienced it with co-workers or colleagues or anything like that, but definitely with patients. They say some outlandish things, and so I had one patient that he wouldn't even make eye contact with me when he talked. He looked at my boobs, he looked at my everything but my face, everything but my eyes. Like, hello, sir, my eyes is here, and he would make comments like he didn't care. Like he had no shame, and it wasn't just to me; it was for every female that works there. And so, I've dealt with that a lot, a lot. One guy was a younger guy, and I went to see him at his girlfriend's mother's house, and he was trying to talk to me, and I'm just like, no, thank you, sir. First of all, that's very inappropriate, and you are here with your girlfriend's mother's house. Like, no. And he's like, oh, I thought we were vibing. Why? I'm being nice. I am a nurse. I'm here to take care of you. So I should be. I would think me being nice is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. So do you feel like you're more able to kind of set boundaries in a work setting versus in a everyday
Yeah,
life?
I think it's easier because that's something that you could say. Like you said, you could say, nope, that's inappropriate, or I'll tell them, yeah, I don't date patients. Can't be friends with patients outside of work. No. And so that's easier to shut it down as opposed to just a random person on the street.
Yeah, as you talk about you don't date patients, and Loren's comment that a lot of people who have a difficult time dealing with rejection may have a mental health problem. My go-to now is going to be like, sorry, I don't date patients. You don't gotta be my patient, but I know you ain't no man.
Yep.
Hilarious. Yeah, because that's what it's giving.
With all of the sexual harassment claims and all those kind of claims that have been coming out now, and it really started with the whole Me Too movement. Do you think that has changed how men approach women, or do you think it's the same?
I think some men approach women differently. I think, for example, my husband, he's very cautious of how he interact with women, just because he's like, I'm a big guy, like I don't have time for people to try to make it seem like something when it's nothing. So he's more cautious with how he interact with women. And I think men who are respectful to women are more cautious with how they interact with them, just knowing that, okay, maybe this wasn't something they thought about before. Maybe I need to approach women differently. But the guys who are disrespectful and don't care, like they're gonna do what they want to do anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that men are a little bit more aware, and those are the men who may have daughters, who have sisters and moms, and they're wanting to make sure that they're being mindful. But again, society is still where it's just like, what did the women do to bring on whatever happened?
Yeah,
Even with a lot of these court cases and women accusing men of doing things, it's just like always so many people who put that blame on a female. And it's just crazy also because a lot of the people who be defending the men are women too. And it's just like, girl, I know you've experienced situations. Like, how can you not kind of back the female in certain situations when you know there has been wrongdoing?
So I think that the struggle with the whole Me Too movement and everybody, like some people not believe in women, I think that is because there are some women that lie, and they make it harder for the women that are really victims. And so it makes you question, like, is she telling the truth? And
But
it's horrible that you have to kind of wonder that sometimes, because there are women that lie. There are women that make things up or exaggerate things that are happening. But it's kind of, I mean, it's hard to see another woman that strongly siding with the man, even without knowing what the entire situation is. But I mean, I guess it goes both ways.
yeah, I think that again, there are people that lie, women and men that lie. And I think that is a smaller percentage of women being dishonest, and most of the women are actually being truthful. And it's just like, because one female may have been dishonest and wasn't truthful about the situation, now every female is just like, oh, now we got to question every female on whether or not what they're saying is true. And like, it's just unfair. It's unfair. And I will always give women the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm never going to quick to say, oh, I don't believe her. I'm going to give women a benefit of doubt, especially when it comes to situations when the men are in power or have money, because in those situations, you already know, like, they know how to navigate the legal system to get away with things, and then they use their power and influence to take advantage of women. And like I said, I always give women the benefit of the doubt. And I'm never quick to be like, she lying. Look at her. She's not even attractive. Like, that doesn't mean anything. You don't have to be attractive to the everyday person in order to be like taken advantage of. Like, that one has nothing to do with the other. It's about power and control. And if a person wants to have that power and control over you, you could be the ugliest woman in the world. They're going to still do what they want to do.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So one person that you might find attractive, I may not find attractive. So yeah, the attraction or what they look like has nothing to do with anything.
I think that people of sound mind have the ability to realize that something has changed and that they are able to then adjust their behavior. But I think the people who are not of sound mind will continue to operate the way they always have because they don't know any better. So I guess yes and no. I do agree with what you both said as it pertains to, the men that we are connected to, like more intimately, our fathers, our partners, our husbands. They are more cognizant and navigate relationships with women a little different, but they are also of mostly sound mind, right? And so, yeah, I think that it depends. it continues to like just the whole conversation for me is just like really sad because it's not even just here, right? It's all
Mhm.
around the world. And it's
Mhm.
for me, it's like based off of that power dynamic, the fact that women are
Mhm.
possessions that are kept and not experienced at our fullest potential. And that's
Mhm.
what like I think the overarching issue is. We are
Yeah.
things that, you know, you kind of pick us up and then you put us down when you want to. And that is just like not it.
Yeah. If you had to think of something you would want other people to know to help other women in situations where they're uncomfortable, like what would you want to say or advice would you give to people that are observing the discomfort?
That's an interesting question because I'm not sure how I would even handle that. I think that the examples that Loren gave were good, like as far as excusing it, like being the person that's being pursued to excuse yourself and just never come back. Um,
Mhm.
Maybe if there's another group of people somewhere near to go over there to
Mhm.
them and you could act like, oh, my friends, like, and go over there and be like, oh, this guy is creeping me out, or he won't leave me alone. Like I'm sure they would let you stay in that group until he left. But being
Mhm.
someone to see it, I don't know how I would respond to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to piggyback off of what you said, if you were the one being pursued and you were uncomfortable, like going to a group and acting like you know them, I think it would be good too. Like if someone
Hmm.
saw a person and they look uncomfortable to act like they know them, like, hey, like what's going on?
Hmm.
Like to try to like interject in the conversation and things like that. Because I think that men who are usually aggressive when it comes to rejection, I think when other people are around, I think they might be a little bit more hesitant to do the things they would do if they knew you were by yourself, or
Hmm.
say the things they would say to you if they knew you were by yourself. So if
Hmm.
someone kind of came and like if they saw that somebody was uncomfortable and just made it seem like they knew them, I think that would kind of de-escalate the angry, not old there man in that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Historically, I think like even as a small child, there have been like numerous situations that my mother had to physically pull me out of. So maybe not regarding this, but like I am like the person that helps. And so I've seen people in situations where they were like being bullied or things like that. So
Mhm.
my nature is to interject myself. And so I don't think that I would have any problem with that. In that though, I'm also very mindful. Like cues, like body language, all of that stuff matters because it may not be I need to interject my physical body, but maybe I need to call someone who is
Hmm.
better trained. And so
Hmm.
just being aware of my surroundings, I could totally see myself involving myself in the most appropriate manner.
Hmm. Yeah.
In addition to that, I mean, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not opposed to tasers, mace, you know, right?
A
Because like
Glock.
sometimes you just have to, you know,
Yeah.
be prepared. It's unfortunate, but it is real.
Yeah.
So what I would like to add is, again, in the society that we live in, a lot of times women smile, and that doesn't mean that they're accepting of the advances that other people are directing at them. It's just something that we do when we're uncomfortable. It's not good to just assume that because a person is being kind or polite or smiling that they're into whatever it is you're putting out. As a man, you need to be mindful that women are sometimes intimidated because of a history of what we have to deal with when a man is rejected. So even if you're not like a creepy or a creeper, and you're approaching a woman, like again, like you just gotta also be mindful of body language and don't just assume because they're being friendly that they're into you. Like
Yep.
it's nothing wrong with complimenting a female, but leave it at that. Leave it
Yep.
at that.
Read the
Keep it
room.
moving. Keep it
Read
moving.
the room.
Just a wee bit. I mean, like,
Yeah.
we're not expecting you to be experts, but at some
Right.
point, you should realize that if somebody is like this, or if somebody is like not making eye contact or like, no, thank you. Like the
Right.
basics.
Right. Right. Just not even interested in conversation. They might have smiled and thanked you for the compliment, but if they're going back to what they're doing and trying to, turn away anything, like do what they've been doing, not showing you any interest. Read the
Yeah.
room.
Maybe
Yeah.
Read the
start with, is it okay if I
that
talk to
too. Ask.
you? Like,
Yes.
assuming
Or
that
or
things can be
maybe
saying
or
something.
maybe acknowledge someone's beauty without even telling them. We don't need your
Hello,
compliment.
hello,
We really
hello.
don't. Like it is unnecessary. If you see somebody that's attractive, you can acknowledge it and be like, man, she look good. We don't need you to compliment us. We're good. Women get compliments throughout the day and it becomes exhausting. Like, can we just walk by? Can we look nice and just go about our day? Like, we don't need your confirmation that we look good. We know that we do. So it's like sometimes you just need to just understand that your compliments is not necessary. And that just solves the problem of making people uncomfortable. Just keep it moving.
Well, ladies, I guess we will do this again soon.